Listen carefully, because what I'm about to tell you is going to flip your entire understanding of strength on its head. You've been taught since childhood that the mind is something fragile, something that needs protecting, something that must be kept calm, quiet, peaceful. What a beautiful lie, a lie designed to keep you harmless. Because a truly powerful mind, one that sees through manipulation, one that cannot be guilt-tripped, one that cannot be emotionally blackmailed, is dangerous. Not to you, but to the people who depend on your confusion. Today, we're going to build a mind so sharp, so strategic, so self-disciplined, that even your own thoughts hesitate before trying to sabotage you. This is not a soft speech. This is a demolition job. We're tearing down every mental cage society has welded around your intelligence. Before we move on, type this in the comments. Your contract with yourself. I choose power. Because powerful minds aren't born, they're forged. And Machiavelli understood this better than anyone. He realized that kings don't lose their crowns because of enemies. They lose them because they failed to master themselves. Your biggest enemy isn't people, it isn't society, it isn't circumstances. It's the undisciplined voice inside your head that whispers weakness, fear, hesitation, and guilt. Master that voice, and the world bends. Now let's dismantle the lies. Rule 1. Stop trusting your first thoughts. Your first thoughts are not the voice of your power. They are the echoes of years of conditioning you never agreed to. From the moment you were old enough to understand words, the world has been slipping ideas into your head like software downloads. Fear goes in first, then doubt, then guilt, then people-pleasing, then the constant whisper that tells you to shrink before you've even tried to stand tall. Those automatic thoughts you think are your identity? They're not. They're the leftovers of parents who wanted you obedient, teachers who wanted you quiet, friends who wanted you predictable, and a society that functions best when you never question your place in the hierarchy. Your first thought is almost always the weakest version of you speaking. It is the voice that flinches before you're even under threat. It is the voice that says, don't try, don't speak, don't take the risk, don't make them uncomfortable, don't make waves. This voice doesn't protect you. It cages you. A powerful mind doesn't obey the immediate impulse. A powerful mind pauses, steps back, and interrogates every thought like a ruler questioning a messenger. Who sent you? What do you want? Are you here to strengthen me or weaken me? Machiavelli understood this deeply. He knew that rulers fell not because of external enemies, but because they trusted the wrong voice inside their own head. The thought that tells you to hold back could be the one that steals your whole future. The thought that tells you to be safe could be the one that buries your potential. Your instinctive reactions are trained responses, predictable, controllable, exploitable. When you override that first thought, you take back the steering wheel of your mind. You begin to think instead of react, decide instead of fear, choose instead of obey. That shift is where power starts. And it's the moment your own thoughts begin to realize they can no longer push you around. Rule 2. Never let your emotions be the pilot. The fastest way to lose your own mind is to let your emotions grab the steering wheel. Most people do exactly that. They wake up angry and the whole day becomes a battlefield. They wake up sad and the world looks hopeless. They feel lonely for an hour, and suddenly they're convinced their life has no meaning. They treat emotions like commands instead of signals, like laws instead of information. And that is how ordinary minds stay ordinary, because emotions are impulsive, unstable, and easily manipulated. Anyone who knows how to poke your feelings already knows how to control your decisions. A powerful mind doesn't suppress emotion, it separates from it. It watches emotion the way a king watches a storm from inside a fortress. You see it, you hear it, but you don't let it dictate your next move. Anger might visit you, but it doesn't get to drive you. Fear might whisper in your ear, but it doesn't get to choose your path. Sadness might pull at your sleeve, but it doesn't get to lock your doors and keep you inside. Emotional people are reactive. Strategic people are selective. They decide when an emotion deserves attention and when it deserves silence. Machiavelli warned leaders never to let passion cloud judgment because passion blinds even the strongest men. Emotion makes you swing too early, trust too quickly, or retreat too fast. Emotion convinces you that the temporary feeling of now is more important than the long-term consequence of tomorrow. Think about how many mistakes you've made because you reacted in the heat of the moment. How many apologies you've given that you didn't need to give, how many opportunities you've missed because fear screamed louder than reason. When you detach from emotion, you gain something most people never experience: clarity, the ability to see the truth underneath the noise. And that clarity is what turns an ordinary mind into a formidable one. Rule 3. Seek clarity, not comfort. Comfort is the sweetest poison ever invented. It doesn't kill you fast. It kills you slowly, quietly, gently. It whispers in your ear that everything is fine, that you don't need to change, that the discomfort you feel is a sign to step back instead of step forward. Most people spend their entire lives chasing comfort because it gives the illusion of safety. But what comfort really does is keep you blind. It hides the truth. It shields you from your own potential. It convinces you that you're okay when deep down you know you're not living anywhere near who you could be. Clarity is different. Clarity is brutal. Clarity exposes you. Clarity forces you to face the parts of yourself you'd rather bury. It shows you the habits that hold you back, the fears that control you, the thoughts you've been avoiding. Clarity doesn't care about your feelings. It cares about your strength. And that's why a powerful mind always chooses clarity over comfort. Clarity is the light that reveals what comfort tries to hide. When you stop running from uncomfortable thoughts, you start understanding them. When you stop numbing your mind, you start sharpening it. Machiavelli knew that rulers who surrounded themselves with comforting lies eventually collapsed. The truth, especially the painful kind, is what keeps you sharp, alert, unshakable. And it works the same in your mind. The thoughts that sting, the memories you avoid, the doubts you push away, those are exactly the places where your transformation starts. When you lean into discomfort, you train your mind to withstand anything. You build resilience, you build foresight, you build strength. A mind that seeks comfort stays small, fragile, easily broken. A mind that seeks clarity becomes unshakable. Rule 4. Stop seeking external validation. The quickest way to weaken your mind is to hand the remote control of your self-worth to other people. From childhood, you were trained to crave approval, the way a starving man craves food. Every gold star, every compliment, every pat on the head taught you one dangerous lesson: your value depends on how others feel about you. And that conditioning follows you into adulthood like a shadow you can't outrun. You post something online and wait for likes. You share an idea and scan faces for reactions. You achieve something and immediately wonder if it's good enough for the people around you. Without realizing it, your mind becomes a hostage to opinions. Opinions that shift, contradict, and disappear the moment you need them. A powerful mind doesn't beg for validation. It creates its own. Instead of asking, "Do they approve of me?" it asks, "Do I approve of myself?" That shift is where real power begins. When your worth depends on external applause, you become predictable, easy to manipulate, easy to guilt, easy to shame. But when your validation comes from within, you become untouchable. People can disagree and you stay steady. People can criticize and you stay focused. People can doubt you and you keep moving. There is nothing more intimidating than someone who is self-directed, self-defined, and self-approved. Machiavelli understood that a ruler who needs constant approval becomes a puppet of those he rules. He bends, he pleases, he apologizes, and eventually he loses respect because people can sense insecurity like blood in the water. And the same is true in your life. The moment you stop chasing validation, people actually respect you more. They trust your certainty. They follow your confidence. They respond to your self-belief. Validation is something you bend for. Power is something you stand for. And when you choose power, your mind becomes a force no opinion can influence. Rule 5. Your thoughts are not commands. One of the biggest traps the mind falls into is believing that every thought it produces is true. Most people never question the voice in their head. They just obey it. A thought appears and they treat it like a command. A fear shows up and they stop moving. A doubt whispers and they shrink. An insecurity rises and they surrender without a fight. But here's the truth. Most people never realize your mind generates random, conditioned, outdated, fear-based thoughts all day long. And if you don't challenge them, they will run your entire life. A powerful mind treats thoughts the way a king treats advisors. They speak, but none of them hold absolute authority. A powerful mind examines each thought instead of reacting to it. It asks, is this thought strengthening me or weakening me? Is this fear real or just a memory? Is this hesitation protecting me or limiting me? This is how you reclaim control. When you stop automatically believing every thought, you stop being manipulated by your own mind. You become selective. You become intentional. You become free. Machiavelli understood that a ruler who obeys every impulse becomes unstable, unpredictable, and easily overthrown. The same applies to your inner world. If you obey every anxious thought, every self-critical voice, every worst-case scenario your mind invents, you become a servant to your psychology instead of a master of it. Thoughts are proposals, not orders. They're suggestions, not truths. They're noise, not destiny. The moment you realize this, you begin to choose your thoughts instead of being chosen by them. And the moment you choose your thoughts, your mind becomes something incredibly rare, something disciplined, deliberate, and powerful enough to shape your future instead of sabotaging it. Rule 6. Control the environment that shapes your mind. Your mind is not just built by your thoughts. It's built by the environments you repeatedly step into. Most people never realize how much their surroundings control them. The conversations they hear, the attitudes they absorb, the energy they tolerate, the habits they witness every day quietly sculpt their mindset without their permission. Sit around people who complain, and soon you start seeing the world through the same fog. Sit around people who fear risk, and suddenly your ambitions feel unrealistic. Sit around people who settle, and soon your dreams start shrinking to match their comfort zones. Your environment is not neutral. It is either sharpening you or softening you, strengthening you or suffocating you. A powerful mind is not created by willpower alone. It is created by deliberately choosing environments that force growth, demand discipline, and reward strength. It is created by surrounding yourself with people who challenge your thinking instead of confirming your excuses. People who speak with precision instead of emotional chaos. People who move with purpose instead of laziness. People who see opportunity instead of obstacles. Your environment sets the ceiling for your mindset, and most people live in mental cages they never built but continue to maintain. Machiavelli knew that rulers who stayed surrounded by weak advisors eventually became weak themselves. Influence is contagious, more contagious than fear, more contagious than doubt, more contagious than hope. If you spend enough time in a low-quality environment, it rewires your instincts, your confidence, your standards. And the terrifying part is this: the mind adjusts quietly, silently, without warning. One day you wake up and realize you think smaller, you react quicker, you trust less, you tolerate more nonsense, simply because the environment you lived in trained you to survive instead of thrive. A powerful mind escapes that trap by becoming ruthless about what it allows in its space. When you control your environment, you control the forces shaping your thoughts. And when you control that, your mind becomes unshakable. Rule 7. Why silence is the final power move. Silence is not the absence of words. Silence is strategy. Silence is a weapon. And Machiavelli understood something most people never will. The person who speaks the least controls the room the most. When you stop giving people immediate reactions, you instantly change the balance of power. Because in every conversation, every argument, every moment of tension, people expect a response. They want confirmation, denial, approval, or emotional leakage. They want to read you. They want to know what you're thinking. And the moment you refuse to give them that information, they lose their advantage. Silence forces people to reveal themselves. When you say nothing, they feel compelled to fill the space with explanations, justifications, or confessions. They expose their real intentions while you stay unreadable. This is why Machiavelli emphasized restraint. The more unpredictable you appear, the more leverage you gain without lifting a finger. A calm face and a quiet mind destabilize manipulative people, insecure people, and power-hungry people. They can't control what they can't understand. They can't attack what they can't read. Silence also protects you from impulsive mistakes. Most people destroy their reputation by speaking too fast, reacting too emotionally, or explaining too much. But when you master silence, you give yourself time to think clearly and respond strategically instead of emotionally. You don't reveal your weaknesses. You don't reveal your fears. You don't reveal your plan. Silence builds an aura of discipline, mystery, and psychological dominance. And here's the real Machiavellian truth behind silence. People respect what they don't fully know. When others cannot predict you, label you, or categorize you, they tread more carefully around you. They assume you are more intelligent, more powerful, and more self-controlled than you may actually be. That illusion alone reshapes how they treat you. Silence creates the perception of strength long before you've even proven it. Rule 8. Ruthlessly filter your own mind. Your mind is constantly talking to you, but not every voice deserves an audience. Most people let every fleeting thought, every passing doubt, every whisper of insecurity take root and grow unchecked. That is how ordinary minds are ruined, by giving permission to weakness to exist inside them. Every unfiltered thought is like a small leak in a dam. Ignored long enough, it turns into a flood that destroys your confidence, your focus, and your control. A powerful mind treats thoughts not as commands, but as invaders, assessing each one before deciding whether it deserves entry or immediate exile. Ruthlessly filtering your mind means catching every trace of self-doubt the moment it appears. When guilt tries to convince you to apologize unnecessarily, you reject it. When fear whispers that you're not ready, you challenge it. When regret creeps in, you observe it, extract its lesson, and discard the rest. Machiavelli understood this centuries ago in the context of rulership. A prince who tolerates corrupt advisors eventually loses his kingdom. In the same way, tolerating weak, unexamined thoughts makes your mind a colony for mediocrity. This isn't about suppression or denial. It's about evaluation and choice. It's about recognizing which thoughts are productive signals and which are parasites meant to weaken your power. Every thought that passes through your mind should either serve your strategy, clarify your goals, or strengthen your self-control. Anything else has no place. The moment you start filtering with precision, your mind becomes a fortress, unbreachable, disciplined, and sharp. Weakness can no longer settle in corners of your consciousness, and distraction loses its grip. The clarity and authority you gain are the same qualities that make leaders feared and respected, and they start with ruthless self-governance. Rule 9. Train your mind to withstand solitude. Solitude is where most people crumble because they've never truly faced themselves. They panic when there's no noise, no distraction, no validation, no opinions to guide them. They run from silence as if it were danger, but in reality, it is the proving ground for mental strength. A mind that cannot sit alone, that cannot confront its own fears, doubts, and desires, is a mind easily manipulated by others. Loneliness is not weakness. Weakness is avoiding the stillness that exposes who you really are. Solitude strips away every illusion, every comforting lie, every excuse, and leaves you staring directly at yourself. Most people panic when that happens, but the powerful thrive. Machiavelli understood that a ruler alone with his thoughts is more dangerous than an army. He knew that self-reliance and the ability to think clearly without outside influence creates foresight and decisiveness. When you are alone, you discover patterns in your thinking, recognize recurring fears, and observe impulses that have controlled you for years. That awareness is power. You begin to anticipate your own mistakes, to question your own biases, and to plan strategies that even your own mind cannot sabotage. A mind trained to withstand solitude becomes resilient, disciplined, and independent of the chaos that governs ordinary lives. It becomes untouchable because it no longer seeks permission, approval, or comfort from anyone outside itself. Rule 10. Learn how to be unreachable. Most people are constantly available, and that availability destroys power. They answer every call, reply to every message, and bend to every demand of attention without considering the cost. Being reachable at all times signals neediness, desperation, and predictability. It tells the world that your energy is a resource anyone can tap into, that your boundaries are negotiable, and that your focus is flexible. A powerful mind understands that availability is a currency, and currency spent too freely quickly loses value. To be unreachable is not to be absent. It is to create distance between yourself and distractions, manipulations, and unnecessary obligations. Machiavelli taught rulers to remain elusive, unpredictable, and selectively present. The same principle applies to your mind. When you stop being immediately accessible, you force others to respect your space. They must account for your attention instead of assuming it is theirs by default. You learn to prioritize what truly matters, to engage only when it serves strategy, and to ignore what seeks to weaken your focus. Being unreachable also cultivates patience, clarity, and selective influence. It allows you to observe without interference, to respond without haste, and to act without being cornered by external pressure. Unreachability is the armor of a disciplined mind, a silent force that commands attention and respect without ever raising a voice. Rule 11. Become the master, not the servant of your mind. Your mind is a kingdom, and if you are not ruling it, you are a prisoner. Most people live as servants to their own thoughts, obeying every impulse, every fear, every distraction without question. They believe that whatever the mind produces must be acted upon, and in that obedience, they lose control of their lives. Machiavelli understood that a ruler who cannot govern his own kingdom will be overthrown by those around him, and the same applies to your inner world. If you do not master your mind, it will master you, dictating your actions, decisions, and destiny. Becoming the master of your mind requires discipline, vigilance, and ruthless self-awareness. Every thought, every emotion, every instinct must be examined, questioned, and directed toward a purpose. Do not let fleeting feelings or old conditioning dictate your actions. Instead, decide what you allow to influence you and what you discard. A mastered mind does not react to provocation, panic, or temptation. It observes, strategizes, and acts only when it serves its higher goal. Machiavelli's principles remind us that power begins within. Before you can influence others, before you can control circumstances, before you can navigate the chaos of the world, you must first rule your own inner kingdom. A mind that is disciplined, self-directed, and unyielding becomes a force of nature, capable of withstanding external pressures, manipulating situations with clarity, and asserting authority without hesitation. Mastery of your own mind is the foundation of every victory. Rule 12. Become unpredictable. Predictability is the silent killer of power. When people can anticipate your moves, they gain control over you without ever touching you. Most minds operate on patterns, reacting the same way to stress, repeating the same habits, responding to the same triggers. That repetition makes you readable, manipulable, and ultimately powerless. Machiavelli understood that a ruler's greatest weapon is unpredictability. When enemies cannot foresee your strategy, they hesitate, second-guess, and often make mistakes that you can exploit. The same principle applies to your mind. To become unpredictable, you must break free from automatic responses. Stop acting according to social expectations, emotional impulses, or routine behaviors. Think strategically, act deliberately, and vary your approach so that no one, including your own thoughts, can easily anticipate your next move. Unpredictability creates a psychological edge that commands attention and respect. People are cautious around the unknown. They hesitate because they cannot calculate risk, and that hesitation gives you power. Machiavelli advised leaders to be both feared and respected, and unpredictability is how that balance is maintained. If your mind always behaves the same way, you are neither. But when your actions are deliberate yet surprising, when your responses are measured yet flexible, you become untouchable. Unpredictability doesn't mean chaos. It means control over the timing, direction, and presentation of your power. It forces others to adapt to you rather than the other way around. Which rule has been quietly sabotaging your power the longest? Which weakness have you allowed to whisper into your decisions, your fears, your hesitation? Choose one, expose it, break it, and seal your transformation with the final line, "I control my destiny."